Most people will never know their kidneys are failing until it's already too late. Not because the signs don't exist, but because your kidneys are the most patient, silent organs in your entire body. They will absorb punishment for years, decades even, without sending a single distress signal. No pain, no warning, no second chances. And right now, one of the most common, most underestimated causes of that silent destruction is sitting in your kitchen, hiding in your drinks, dissolved in your breakfast, and tucked inside foods you consider perfectly normal. Sugar. Not poison, not a drug. Just sugar. And what it does to your kidneys, quietly, invisibly, over time, is one of the most important things you will ever learn about your own body. Think of your kidneys as two tireless bodyguards stationed inside your body 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every single day, they filter nearly 50 gallons of blood, catching waste, balancing minerals, regulating fluid, and keeping your bloodstream clean enough to sustain life. They never clock out. They never ask for a break. And for most of your life, you probably never thought about them once. That's exactly the problem. Because while you weren't paying attention, every sugary drink, every dessert, every hidden syrup in your so-called healthy juice was quietly forcing those bodyguards into brutal, unrelenting overtime. And bodyguards who never rest eventually break down. Here is what actually happens inside your kidneys the moment sugar enters your bloodstream. Glucose levels spike rapidly. Unlike fat or protein, which digest slowly, sugar hits the blood fast, and your kidneys respond immediately. They begin filtering the excess glucose from your blood, working far harder than their normal baseline. Over time, this accelerated filtration leads to a condition scientists call glomerular hyperfiltration. Most people hear hyperfiltration and assume it means the kidneys are doing better than usual. They're not. It's the same as flooring the accelerator on your car and keeping it at maximum RPM all day, every single day. The engine might run fast, but it won't run long. The delicate structures inside your kidneys, the microscopic filters called nephrons, begin to experience wear that simply cannot be undone. And here's the terrifying part. You will feel none of it happening. Every time you pour a glass of soda, bite into a pastry, or sip a fruit drink packed with added sugars, your kidneys are quietly absorbing that impact. Think of a coffee filter. The first time you pour clean water through it, it works flawlessly. But if every single day you pour thick, sticky syrup through that same filter instead, it clogs, it weakens, it tears. Researchers at Harvard have confirmed that people who regularly consume high amounts of added sugar are at a significantly greater risk of developing chronic kidney disease. The terrifying reality is that many people only discover they have kidney disease after 70% of their kidney function is already permanently gone. Not 30%, not 50, 70. By the time you feel anything, most of the damage is done, and sugar's attack on your kidneys doesn't stop at filtration. It hijacks your blood pressure too. When you eat large amounts of sugar, insulin levels surge. That insulin surge signals your kidneys to hold on to sodium and water, and suddenly your blood pressure climbs. Your kidneys' blood vessels begin to strain under that elevated pressure. You feel bloated, sluggish, heavier than you should. You might blame it on stress or sleep or getting older, but behind the scenes, your kidneys are holding onto excess fluid, desperately trying to maintain chemical balance in a bloodstream that sugar has thrown into total chaos. Day after day, month after month, that elevated pressure does what pressure always does to delicate structures. It erodes them. Slowly, silently, permanently. Now let's talk about something that feels anything but silent. Kidney stones. Most people blame salt or dehydration when stones appear. But sugar is one of the most overlooked culprits in the room. High sugar intake raises the amount of calcium excreted in your urine. Elevated urinary calcium gives crystals the raw material they need to form. Those crystals harden, they grow, and eventually they become kidney stones, some as small as a grain of sand, others as large as a golf ball, all of them capable of causing a level of pain that people consistently describe as worse than childbirth. A study published in the Journal of Urology confirmed that people with the highest sugar intake had a dramatically higher risk of developing kidney stones than those who kept sugar low. And once you have had one stone, your risk of getting another increases dramatically. It becomes a cycle. But here's the part that matters. Within just 30 days of quitting sugar, the composition of your urine begins to shift. Calcium excretion drops. The chemical environment that stones need to grow becomes hostile to them. 30 days of discipline can break a cycle that might otherwise follow you for the rest of your life. But what happens when you actually stop? What does your body experience in the first 72 hours of quitting sugar entirely? The answer might surprise you, because it's not comfortable. Your brain, which has been fed a steady supply of glucose spikes, suddenly feels the absence. Headaches set in. Your mood drops. Cravings arrive in waves. You might feel foggy, irritable, and genuinely wonder if cutting sugar was the right decision. It feels like withdrawal, because in many ways, it is. Sugar activates the same dopamine reward pathways that other addictive substances do. Your brain has been conditioned to expect those spikes, and now that they're gone, it protests loudly. But while your brain is complaining, something remarkable is already happening deeper inside your body. Within the first few days of cutting sugar, levels of advanced glycation end products, molecules that literally accelerate the aging of your kidney tissue, begin to fall. Your blood becomes cleaner. The pressure on your filtration system eases almost immediately. Your kidneys, for the first time in perhaps years, begin to work in something resembling peace. By the end of the first week, most people notice their cravings starting to soften. Energy stabilizes, the headaches fade, and the kidneys are continuing their quiet recovery. One of the earliest measurable signs of that recovery is a reduction in protein leakage in the urine. In healthy kidneys, protein stays in the blood where it belongs. In damaged kidneys, the filtration barrier weakens and protein slips through into the urine, a condition called proteinuria, and one of the earliest clinical signs of kidney damage. When sugar is removed from the diet, that filtration barrier begins to strengthen. Protein leakage decreases. It's not dramatic. It won't make headlines. But inside your body, it's the equivalent of a crumbling wall being reinforced brick by brick. The connection between sugar and diabetes is perhaps the most well-known link, but its consequences for the kidneys are far more severe than most people realize. Constant high blood glucose doesn't just raise your A1C. It quietly destroys the tiny blood vessels that supply your kidneys with the oxygen and nutrients they need to survive. Over time, this leads to diabetic nephropathy, kidney damage driven by uncontrolled blood sugar, which is one of the leading causes of kidney failure on the planet. Millions of people are sitting on dialysis machines right now, not because of bad luck or bad genes, but because of years of uncontrolled sugar intake that was never taken seriously. When you quit sugar for 30 days, your insulin sensitivity improves. Your body learns to manage glucose more efficiently. The chain reaction that leads from high sugar to prediabetes to type 2 diabetes to dialysis, that chain can be broken, not after years of effort, after weeks, and it starts the moment you make the decision. Chronic sugar intake also drives something that most people associate with sore joints or a swollen ankle: inflammation. But inflammation is not just a surface-level inconvenience. Inside your kidneys, chronic inflammation caused by high blood sugar triggers oxidative stress, which attacks kidney tissue directly. Over time, inflamed kidney cells are replaced by scar tissue, and scar tissue does not filter. It just sits there, permanently occupying space where healthy, functional tissue once was. Once scarring forms, that lost function does not come back. But here's the hope. Within 30 days of removing sugar from your diet, research shows that inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein, begin to measurably fall. The inflammatory fire inside your kidneys starts to cool. The progression of scar tissue slows. Your kidneys get the one thing they desperately needed: a chance to stabilize. 30 days is not a cure. Nobody is pretending otherwise. If you have spent 10 or 20 years on a high-sugar diet, 30 days will not erase that history. But what those 30 days will do is interrupt the process. They will demonstrate, in ways your own body will feel, that the damage doesn't have to continue. Blood pressure begins to drop. Inflammatory markers fall. Protein leakage decreases. Your energy improves. Your skin clears. Your sleep gets deeper. These are not coincidences. They are your body's response to being freed from something it was never designed to handle in the quantities modern life provides. The most important thing to understand is this. Your kidneys do not get a transplant list with hundreds of thousands of people on it because kidney disease is rare. They get it because kidney disease is common, progressive, and almost entirely preventable. The path to that list runs straight through years of dietary choices that nobody warned us about clearly enough. But you're being warned now. 30 days without sugar is not a punishment. It's a negotiation with your own future. Every single day you keep sugar in check is another day your kidneys are not fighting a battle. They were never meant to fight alone. They have been protecting you without ever asking for anything in return. 30 days, and the lifetime of choices that follow, is how you finally protect them back.